Welcome to the Real Estate Espresso Podcast, your morning shot of what's new in the world of real estate investing. I'm your host, Victor Menashe. This is the weekend edition, and we've got a very special show for you today. We have not just one guest, but two. They're both repeat guests on the show. Welcome to the show all the way from San Diego, Marc von Musser, and from Toronto, Canada, Nicky Billou.
I'm excited.
Great to be here.
Great to have you both. So you've been on the show before, and I thought it would be good to get together at this time of year. We're deep in the fourth quarter. This is the time of year where proactive business owners are starting to think about planning for 2021. There's some folks that for the Christmas holidays start to think about New Year's resolutions, but man, that's way too late. You've already missed it by that point. If you're planning 2021, now is the time to start thinking about that. And of course, most people, if you're like most people, whatever plans you might have had for 2020 went out the window because it's been such a tumultuous year in so many different ways. Maybe let's start with you, Marc. I know you've been on the show before. Give a little bit of your backstory, and we'll do the same with you, Nicky, and then we'll get right into the meat of it.
Sure. Currently, I'm director of sales with Clients on Demand, and what we do there is really take businesses and help them with their intellectual property and create online businesses, and help several thousand of them create 6- and 7-figure incomes online. And then before that, I was the director of training and coaching for Tony Robbins, and then did exponential growth in the departments that I helped him with. Before that, though, is a lot of sales training, a lot of different real estate broker for probably 20, 25 years. And so part of what I do, though, is look for opportunities and optimizing human development, whether that be helping investors make more money, whether that's online businesses to become more profitable. And right now, what you said was absolutely true. Right now, more than ever, it's very, very interesting to watch. Some people are having their best year ever, and most people are massively underperforming. So that's a big part of what we get to do is find out, and that's what we're going to talk about. But that's really what we do, is help people optimize their goals.
Fantastic. Over to you, Nicky.
Well, thank you, Marc. That's awesome, man. So, Victor, first of all, thank you for having us here. It's a real honor and a privilege to be here. So, Victor, I do what I do primarily because I'm a champion for the entrepreneur. I believe that entrepreneurs are society's greatest heroes. Every entrepreneur who has the courage to pursue their dream, to go out there despite all the naysayers and make it happen and bring it to life is a hero in my book. And my mission, my vision has always been to serve those people. My father was an entrepreneur, God rest his soul. His proudest boast was, son, did you know that we fed 51 families this week, ours and his 50 employees? And for me, I do what I do in order to serve entrepreneurs. I have a very powerful program, Victor, that you're very well aware of. It's called eCircle Academy. We help people really take the genius within, turn it into thought leadership, genuine thought leadership with depth. It's all steak. It's not sizzle. I've got a podcast as well. As you know, you've been a guest on it yourself a few times. It's called The Thought Leader Revolution. And I decided to get together with Marc because there's been a few people that really have been crushing it in both our worlds, but there's been a ton of people that have been underperforming. And we really wanted to help give them a bit of a leg up. We want to have people start thinking about 2021 right now, start thinking about what are the lessons that 2020 can impart to them and really set them up so they can totally win 2021. And that's why we're excited to be here with you today.
I love it. Well, Marc, you talked a bit about sales, and I believe it was Ken McElroy that said, sales solves all problems. And it really does, especially in a year like 2020 that's been so chaotic. A lot of people stuck to their original business plan. Their expectations were of a 2019 type of year, and it didn't turn out that way. Those who adapted to the new reality are the ones that have thrived. What have you seen so far this year?
That's exactly what's happened. While I'm not going to argue and pretend that this was not a very bumpy year, we've had multiple attacks to I believe it was all by design to force humanity to a new level. And I think it's going to expose and kind of rip the shortcomings in most of the businesses, which were self-driven versus client-driven. So the big shifts that I've noticed were the people that were able to focus on the client's needs have done very, very well if they have an ability to get their message out there and get in front of people. Underneath all of it, the biggest problem, though, was the person and the business owner's mindset and belief system about it. I think we were 3 to 4 months in, and there was a great study. I can't quote it right now specifically, but it basically broke down to they studied 29 entrepreneur CEOs that ranged in businesses from 5 million to 500 million a year. And they fell into 3 categories. The one group was watching 6 times more news and television about COVID and coronavirus, and they were the ones barely holding on. And then there's the middle group, which watched less than that, and they were the ostrich. They were sticking their head in, hoping it was going to go away. Then there was the top group. The top group of entrepreneurs watched almost no news other than to know what's going on, but they innovated, they focused, they had daily practices, but they made more money because they focused on the opportunity and the new shifts about what buyers needed today. And they're crushing it, not by taking advantage of people, but by serving them at a new level when the client needs it most. And those are some of the clues that are going to differentiate who thrives through this and who's roadkill. So that's really a big part of it.
One of the things that I've always believed is that business is about solving problems. That's all it is. It's not just solving problems. It's got to be problems that are people willing to spend money to have solved. And it's acute problems, not just things that are in that would be nice category, things that really someone is feeling the pain right now and they need a solution right now.
1,000%. And that's one of the blessings that COVID that people don't realize, but we've done a lot of work and a lot of training on what are the blessings of it. There's a lot of tough stuff, but it amplified the pain points of every single person. If they had relationship problems in their family, now you're sitting next to that same person 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Before, you might spend 3 hours of time together. The rest of the time you're at work, you're at the gym, you're doing other stuff. So that amplified any breaks in communication. Same thing with business owners. If there was a break in your system, you will find it right now. So you're correct. Right now, one of the byproducts of COVID and the coronavirus has been it amplifies all of the shortcomings and problems that people face, which is a great opportunity for people that solve problems and are willing to get out there and serve people today.
There's a lot of folks out there that have expertise, Nicky, and I know you make the distinction between an expert and a thought leader. Why don't you talk a little bit about that? Because I think that's one of the keys to being differentiated in this oversaturated, noisy marketplace.
You know, Victor, that's a fantastic point. I want to emphasize what you said earlier, which is sales solves all problems, and that business is truly about solving problems, and not just any problems, but acute problems. And one of the ways for you to be seen as relevant in the marketplace is if you're seen as a thought leader and not just an expert. An expert's, someone who knows something, but a thought leader is someone who's known for knowing something. It's way better to be a thought leader than to be an expert, because experts are a dime a dozen. They're common and they're not that interesting, but a thought leader is rare and valuable. If you're truly a thought leader in your space, people are going to seek you out. Victor, I think you're a fantastic case in point of this. You've been an expert in investing and in raising capital, and then you started to think about thought leadership, and that you did a couple things. You wrote your book, Magnetic Capital. You started this podcast. You started to become really known as the guy who's the expert in creating magnetic capital flows to you. And through the Real Estate Espresso podcast, people started to understand who you were and what you could do for them. And right now, people are lining up to want to work with you. I mean, you can't possibly do business with all the people who come and want to work with you. And I think that's a beautiful thing. Kudos, Mr. Thought Leader Victor Menashe.
Well, thank you for that. And, one of the things we often experience when we're under stress, 2020 has put a lot of pressure on people, and it's easy to go into a defensive mode. I see it all the time. I talk to so many business owners, business leaders that are playing defense right now. Mark, how do you get out of that and start to play offense?
It's a great question, and you're absolutely correct. First off, is it really depends on the strength of your mindset and how much work you've done on your mindset, your belief system. Secondly, it's the peer group that you're hanging with. This is one of the things. You have a really big real estate network as an example. Somebody out there that's just starting with real estate or maybe done 1 or 2 transactions, to them, it's like, oh my God, what's going to happen? But for example, Victor, you've done so many transactions, you know what metrics to focus on. That's the power of having a very strong peer group, somebody that has experts. So that's the second thing. The third thing is that, again, is having people in your corner that can help you focus on the key areas to focus on. Just like that CEO example we talked about. Most of the CEOs were focusing and putting their head in the sand, or they were literally just obsessing on the problem. When you're around a group, it's like that can condition you and help support you, show you where the new opportunities are, give you the courage and help you find that solution, the pathway. That's really the secret to make it in today's market. As tough as it has been, the other byproduct, you're going to watch a lot of business people, a lot of investors are going to get wiped out because they do not know where to focus. They do not know what strategies work today. And again, that's why I believe it was Rupert Murdoch, or Warren Buffett. They run to the crisis. If there's no crisis, they want no part of it. There's another billionaire, I won't say who it is, but he creates crisis and goes in and profits. But when you know how to operate in that zone, when you've got a great peer group, when you have great strategies and people that can help you focus that have been down this road before, you can do very, very well. And it's not from, getting back to what you said, it's not by taking advantage of people in their misfortune. It's finding a way to add new value, solve the new problems that are the most pertinent and painful today. So that's really what we've been doing all year long. And client after client after client are having their biggest year ever, even in industries like event space or massage, teaching massage therapists. Their entire industries shut down. So how do they make more money during when there's a complete? And that's really the byproduct of having great systems, great support, and knowing how to navigate through the chaos.
I love that. When we look at planning for 2021, after such a chaotic year, we talk about setting goals. There's a very small percentage of the population that set goals, probably because they're afraid to fail. If you do set goals, there's two types of goals. There's attainment goals. Might be, let's say the goal is $100,000, or might be to buy a new house. That's an attainment goal. And then there are habit goals that would be to maybe do 100 push-ups a day, or whatever it might be that's a habit goal. Talk a little bit about the interplay between those two as you look forward into 2021.
Well, I'll tell you, I think that's a fantastic question, Victor. I really like the way you framed it. So one of the things that Mark over here has kicked my butt to do this summer was to set a bunch of challenge type goals. So he said, Nicky, you got to do something physical. So I said, okay, you know what? I found this guy, David Goggins, that Mark told me about, and he's a Navy SEAL. And he lost like over 100 pounds in 3 months just so he could join the SEALs. And he does these crazy challenges all the time. So I said, all right, let me do 350 push-ups a day for 30 days. That'll be just over 10,000 push-ups. So I did that, right? And I thought that was fantastic. And on day 28, I crossed the threshold. And then Mark said to me, okay, Nicky, you know what? You need to now go do an income challenge. I said, okay, since COVID, I haven't made as much as $30,000 in a month. So I'd like to make 30K in 30 days. Like that had a nice ring to it, right? So I decided to do that. And then Mark said, man, don't be selfish. Don't do that by yourself. Bring a few people with you. So I got 11 other people together, and we all went after this together. We had weekly calls, daily texts, and we were into it. So here was the great thing that happened, Victor. 4 people out of those 11 hit the 30K in 30 days challenge, and some of them even exceeded it. Another fella hit over 20K in the 30 days. And then there was another fella who didn't hit anywhere near that, but he kept going past the 30 days. And on day 58, he made $15,000 in sales. And in day 66, I think he made another $10,000 in sales. So he kept the whole challenge mentality up. And I was fortunate enough to be able to do $76,500 in 30 days. So it was really, really fantastic. So these are the kind of challenge type goals that you're talking about, where you take actions every day. And then the attainment type goals really are all about putting your attention. What's your vision? What do you want to attain? What's the outcome you want to bring? Mark always talks about this in the work that he does with all his clients and all his friends. And I count myself fortunate to be both. And we have really been focusing on, okay, what's the outcome? What do you want to do? So for 2020, for us, we really want to finish the year strong. We want to bring a whole bunch of people together into the community of heart-driven entrepreneurs. So Mark said to me, Nicky, you know what? Let's do something. Let's do an event. Let's get a whole bunch of people in a room together. Let's get them focused on setting goals. Let's get them focused on being around other great people and connecting with one another. And let's show them what are the opportunities that they've been missing out on. If this year hasn't been their best year yet, and I can tell you for almost everybody I'm talking to, it hasn't been their best year yet, then let's help set it up so 2021, they're going to be able to blow the doors off no matter what the government does, no matter what the crazy virus is all about, no matter what the election ends up being, no matter any of this stuff. We want to prepare people to be able to win bigger than they've ever won before. And that, my friend, I think is a very powerful way to describe the interplay between attainment type goals, habit goals.
I think I've shared with you both this story once before of a 30-day challenge that was held in the industry of comedy. There were 2 comics that were struggling to break out, and they challenged each other to write content just 30 minutes a day for 30 days. And they both did it. At the end of 30 days, they got together, they compared notes. And at the end of those 30 days, one of those guys quit and the other guy kept going for another 7 years. Well, the second guy's name is Jerry Seinfeld. I don't know who the other guy is.
Exactly. Well, that's such a great story. And you're right. Jerry Seinfeld, also, people don't realize it, is the most successful, highest paid actor in the industry. Not just television, but television movies. His net worth is upwards near of $1 billion as an actor. It's insane. But the other one that you said I want to go back to, Victor, because you're one of the only other people that I've heard talk about it. And that is that traditional self-help gurus and people that are talking about that, they usually will procrastinate, whether it's conscious or unconscious, until January. And they're going to lose a lot of momentum that they don't even have right now because, well, heaven forbid, we've got Thanksgiving in America. We've got this and holidays. So what happens, though, is they start really compounding the problems. They get stuck in the mud and they say they're going to start in January. When we have looked at the people that start in January, 95% will quit on their goals by January 30th. But by March, it takes people till March or April to start trying to get any momentum whatsoever. Now, when I was at Tony Robbins, where we're at now with the companies that we train and coach, we are going overtime right now because now is the greatest opportunity, because our competitors are sitting on their butts. Our competitors are like, oh, I'm going to get there someday. Right now, I've got a lot going on, and they're missing the greatest opportunity right now, which is to harness the distinctions and the growth out of here and get a running start on 2021. Do you remember when we're kids, Victor? This has been true for every man I talked to. Do you remember when we're kids and we had a brother, a best friend, a neighbor, and we had those sprinting contests? We all did it. And we're like, hey, Victor, I'll race you. I bet you 10-1 I can beat you to the end. And you go, well, where are we going? And you say, see that tree down there? And you're going, yeah, that tree, I'm already running. And all of a sudden it's like you start catching up, but I've got a 20-yard head start. And we all did it. We all played the game. And then it's like, you cheated. Well, in business, it's the same thing. And it's like that target, the starting point is now. It is not someday. One of the things why you've done so good, Victor, and it's been fun to watch, you were always looking for the opportunity and what other people were not going to do. And you always managed your risk. You always looked for the opportunity and looked beyond the obvious. And right now, more than ever, that's what has to happen.
Absolutely. I mean, that resonates so strongly with me. So I know you guys have got an event coming up specifically to get going on 2021. Why don't you share some of the details of that?
Sure. Let me share, and then Mark, you can chime in with whatever I miss. So first of all, it's happening on November the 28th. It's going to be primarily a Zoom event, obviously, and it's happening from 10 a.m. to 3:15 p.m. roughly Eastern. And we're calling it Winning 2021. And it's all about really taking a look at what happened in 2020, learning the lessons of the adversity that represented, and then taking a look at what opportunities are you maybe not taking advantage of, what opportunities are you really missing, and then we're going to delve deeply into what those opportunities are, and we're going to help you set some really powerful goals in 2021. You know, Mark's got some kick-ass methodologies on that, so does Teresa. Both their backgrounds in having worked with the top transformational leaders in the world. They really understand how to help people crush it. And what we're also going to do, Victor, is we're going to show people some strategies they can use that don't require them spending money on Facebook ads or, other kind of advertising or marketing things. Things are basically no-cost ways of getting business right away. Let's get you 6 figures of business in the next 90 days right away without needing to spend any money on it. And then we're going to talk a little bit about podcasting, what you and I do, and how that can be powerful in terms of setting up your brand. And then we're going to end up with this really cool thing, Victor, that I know you're going to love. It's called Power of Connecting. So we're going to have at least 30 people in the room. We're already up to 17, 18 right now. Actually, I think we just hit 19, Mark. We've got those folks. We're going to break them up into separate rooms in Zoom. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to curate who you're going to talk to. So, Victor, I'm probably going to put you in touch with this fellow named Robert Juret as an example, one of those guys. And Robert is the president of Corporate Connections Global. They're a sister company to BNI. And they've got, BNI has locations in like 80 countries. So does Corporate Connections. Robert's a fantastic guy, super well connected. You're going to want to meet Robert. Robert's going to want to meet you. We're going to make that connection happen. And we're going to do that with a minimum of 5 people. So you're going to walk out of there inspired. You're going to walk out of there with incredible new connections, with phenomenal new people that could help you in your business. You're going to walk out of there with a blueprint for crushing 2021, and you're going to get some phenomenal strategies you can use immediately. Get into action right now without needing to spend a penny to solve that problem. The sales solves all problems. We're going to help you do that. That's a primary focus in here. And we're going to talk about podcasting and thought leadership and what you can do to apply those so people come to you just the way they come to Victor, because that's what we want. We want people to be able to create for themselves. And I think it's a beautiful thing. And Mark, you want to add something to that?
Yeah, a big part of this, Victor, came about why were we doing this? And it's like, this is the part that breaks my heart, is there are so many good businesses and good people, just like with you with real estate investing. And the problem is they go out and buy some low rent program who doesn't care, won't give you the support. That used to be me. I remember, again, I'd said, people don't realize the power of having an expert mentor like Victor. If I'm going to do commercial real estate, I'm going to do everything I can to get in this guy's back pocket. I remember when I did it, I bought probably 10 to 20 real estate training programs. I was a real estate agent. And the bottom line was, at the point of sale, I didn't know how to pull the trigger. I found a property, fit all my criteria. It was a VA foreclosure. It was for $85,000. It was a $3,000 to $5,000 buy-in to make an offer. And if you only paid if you did that, it had to be postmarked by midnight. Now, what happened was I sat out, I looked at the property. It was a 4-bedroom, 3-bath on a cul-de-sac. I wrote my offer for 105. And I sat there because I didn't have a mentor. I didn't know what the risk variables were. Long story short, I didn't make an offer. I sat there until after 12 o'clock where it wouldn't be postmarked. And I sat and drove home with my tail between my legs. And as God always does, I got to tour that property less than a year later. But the problem was it was on the market for $450,000. I talked to the owner. He said that he bought it for $102,000. He goes, all I did is put in spray the lawn, spray the driveway to make it look good, cleaned it up, and I'm just flipping it. $450,000 sold in a weekend. Now, as God always does, he gave me another reminder. 2 years later, I got to tour it again for $850,000 because it was right at the beginning. There was one thing missing for me to pull the trigger, an expert mentor. I did not, in that moment of decision, I didn't have somebody to say, Mark, look at this. The rents alone, you could rent the other 3 bedrooms. Rents in the area are $400 a month. That's $1,200. You're going to be about $800. You're going to make money buying this. And by the way, you're already paying $1,200 for your apartment. And anybody that had experience, they would have known immediately, do it, and even go 110 if you have to. So that was the first big lesson I got. And it's the same thing right now because there are so many good people who are buying the story, the myth of that it's impossible. They don't have references on how to win today. They don't know where the opportunities are, and they don't know what to pull from 2020. So for people that get the right support and know, we wanted some way to jumpstart their career so they show up in 2021 and make up for everything they missed in 2020, but also start living their purpose at the highest level and having impact. Because there are some huge shifts about where buyers are going to be moving. It's literally, there will be entire industries created in the next 2 years, and we're already seeing the signs of it right now.
We're absolutely seeing the signs of it. There's no question about it. If folks want to register, if they want to learn more, what's the best way?
So, Victor, the best way is for them to actually jump on a call with me. So I'm going to give you my calendar link because we just want to make sure it's a fit before we have somebody on. We've curated this. There are really special people there. We just want to make sure it's a fit. It's something that works for the person coming and also works for the other members of the community, as I'm sure everyone can appreciate, right? Fit's very important in these kind of special curated masterminds. The best way to do that is go to ecircleacademy.com/appointment. That is a link, or they can just go to ecircleacademy.com and there's a button there that says book a call. So what you'll do when you click on that is you'll just pick a time that works for you, and then myself or someone else will give you a call. And if it's a fit, we'll register you.
We just wanted to supercharge people, kind of get them unstuck and get them rocking so that they can really capitalize on the final, 32, 34 days of the month and really hit 2021 with a clear plan, clear strategies, and know how to maximize 2021.
What is so important, a lot of people, they go into a class and they say, well, I've got all the knowledge and I'm all set. And I think there's so much more to it than just attending a seminar passively. This is not a seminar, it's a workshop where you're surrounded with other entrepreneurs. And by being in that environment, I think you talked about the fit being super important. And I believe that very strongly, that when you're in the right environment, that's how the transformation happens. It's not just the information.
Absolutely. And the other one too is that I've said this before, you're 100% correct. The inside of the jar cannot read the outside of the label. And one of the greatest gifts that we've had when we're coaching people is to look and find that one or two things that's stopping them from their dream. Just like in my case, if I had that expertise back with somebody that knew, he would have known that, man, you can't lose. He could have given me one distinction and I would have made about 800 grand in the next 2 years. It's the same thing when you have people that can look at it, that have done it, that have your best interests at heart. It becomes real fun. But all of us have one or two missing ingredients, or we would already be where we wanted to be. So that's the key, is to figure out what everybody needs. And there's one other piece that I'll say, and we'll be addressing this too. But now more than ever, you cannot have a weak message. There is so much noise in the marketplace. I don't care if you're going to do podcasting. I don't care if you're going to do paid traffic, free traffic, networking. There's all sorts of, but your message has got to be a laser to cut through the distractions about everyone else's focus. And when you do that and it's done properly, you'll have a significantly lower ad spend or investment to get clients, but you'll have a much better return, because somebody in pain, to your point, when it's an acute pain, it's almost like they hear it, they find it. Next thing you know, it's an email, it's a phone call, it's a referral, it's overhearing somebody. So that's going to be a big part of it too, is to give you guys some insights on how to make that happen.
Fantastic. Well, I've got to tell you, I've known you both, Nicky and Marc, for close to a decade now. We've worked together. We've had meals together. We spent a lot of high quality time together in multiple different cities around North America. And these guys are the real deal. So for the listeners at home, definitely reach out to Marc and Nicky at ecircleacademy.com/appointment. That's ecircleacademy.com/appointment. In the meantime, have an awesome rest of your weekend. Go make some great things happen. I'll talk to you again tomorrow.